So, welcome to my video, and I wanted to have a chat about frameworks and different types of documentations and processes, and why is they important and helpful. And yeah, just speak in general about the frameworks. Obviously, there are two types of frameworks that could be named, or two types of frameworks that could be named. The first one is that there are those that you use on a day-to-day basis as a software developer. So something like, I don't know, Hibernate or Angular or that kind of a framework where you just have a working product and you use technology from it. But the other side of a framework or the other type of framework, and that's what I wanted to chat today, it's the documentation and the process. So how would you structure your approach and how would you do something? Quite often those frameworks, they don't really have specific recommendations or use cases, but instead they just describe a requirement. And that's actually very helpful as well. But at the same time, it can be quite frustrating. I can understand it from my own experience. So uh, just let's describe what or define what is a framework. And the framework or the process framework, it provides a structured approach to managing workflows or different tasks and how team members collaborate with each other. And on the other hand, the documentation frameworks, they offer a best practices for creating the documentation, but it just describes what you need to do and it will help you to maintain your code in a long run. So we'll be there when you just write the code and think or wear a t-shirt, something like that code is the best documentation. But a couple of months later, you come back to the code and you just try to read all of that and not necessarily understand what was the actual idea behind this code or why it was implemented in a certain way, why there are some exceptions and different ways to work with this. So you could look in tickets, something like Jira tasks that you assign to that code, but it would be harder to find. And it's always better to have documentation somewhere, for example, on a Confluence. And I right now wanted to focus mostly on the process frameworks. And to be more specific, I wanted to have a deeper dive into the DSOMM frameworks. And DSOMM stands for the DevSecOps Maturity Model. It is a framework from AWASP, and I know it's a very well-known organization. And basically, this framework, it targets the security part of the DevOps, and it consists of five different levels. It's represented as a circular diagram, and yeah, it can be quite frustrating to just, as a developer, to look at all of those frameworks, diagrams, and just then think, but what is the point? Why it is here? And actually, it is helpful, and it could be used. First of all, as I said, that those frameworks they provide you a structured approach. So basically, you don't need to think about something when you implemented it, and it is quite similar to all of the technology frameworks that we use as developers daily. And when you just need to do a database query, for example, you're not really required to think so how the connection would be managed, how would you get that from the pool, how would you store the connection details to the database and so on. You just write the query in a language that you're comfortable with and run it without all of that complexity that is running behind the scenes. Same with those process frameworks. When you need to use them, it helps you to basically offload all of that complex knowledge or complex thinking that you need to have, you need to do, instead of just thinking what you need to do in terms of what you just can focus on, how you can do it, and then you can point someone. So if you would have an audit or something like that, you can point them that, okay, we implemented this framework. So for this requirement, we implemented this technology. For this requirement, we done something else, and so on and so forth. And yeah, basically, it helps you to offload this mental burden to someone else or something else. And why I wanted to focus on the DSOMM, because, well, I'm just right now implementing it, and it is quite interesting. You can do a lot of things with this framework, and you can implement something that you might not have even considered before. And it would increase not only your DevOps maturity level, but on top of that, it will increase the security of your processes and pipelines, which is always a good thing. And just as an example where it could be used somewhat of a real world use case is that you might have a policy, the internal company policy, to have implemented the DevOps on level, say, three or two or one. It's up to you or to your organization to decide how you would implement it. And then, based on this policy, you could apply for the ISO 2701 certificate. And basically, if your policy says that you need to have a DSOM level something, that's very easy to implement. And then for all of the auditors to find the proof that you implemented all of those policies. So you basically golden in terms of those complicated security certifications, which is a really good use case. And I think that can be uh, used pretty much by any organization. Uh, with that being said, I plan to run a couple of more videos with more specific examples and ways to implement the DSOM of different levels and different goals and requirements from this one. So please stay tuned. And also, I hope you liked the video. I decided to use this video as a background for my voice, just because I like traveling, and to show you the presentation. It might get boring sometimes, so this might be fun. Please leave the comments if you liked it or not, and yeah, let's go. See you soon.